Hey everyone, welcome to Fantasy Book Reviews. My name's Nick.
And I'm Ray, and today we're here to talk about The Wheel of Time, Book 2, The Great Hunt.
This is going to be a spoiler-free review. There will be some spoilers from book one, but we're going to be doing a rating on this book for the plot and story, character development, world building, and great moments on a scale of 0 to 10. At the end, we're going to give you our recommendation on whether we think you should read this book or not.
So, with that, let's jump into it.
First category, plot/story.
So,
What'd you think?
first time I read this book, many years ago, I didn't like it that much. I won't lie. It was the pacing of it, the plot of it seemed smaller in scope compared to book one for me. Now,
Okay.
I went back and, obviously reread this,
Yep.
and rereading it totally put this at a way higher spot than it was initially in my
Okay.
personal standing of the books themselves.
Yeah.
Um, the plot's actually really solid. It has a clear goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the path towards it doesn't sprawl. It's paced really well,
Mm-hmm.
and it's written well. And it introduces a lot of interesting characters and like
Yeah.
foreshadows great moments that will come along. So overall, plot story this time around actually is a really good book for this series.
Yeah. I really like this one. I think I just like everything that happens in this book. This is one of my favorite
Yeah,
books overall from the whole series. And I really like the plot and the story, right? We get the idea from the very beginning and from the name of the book is, they've got a big hunt to
the
go
great
on.
hunt. What's the hunt? What are they hunting?
And it really unfolds into some pretty cool moments and great events, great characters that get, you know, shown. It should I really enjoy it. So from a score of 0 to 10, what would you give the plot slash
Um,
story?
plot/story. So I'd give it 8.5, 9 out of 10,
Okay,
right around there.
nice. Okay, yeah.
What about you?
I'm right with you. I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Story wise, the one critique I would give it is
Mm-hmm.
still the ending. We
Yeah.
won't go into it here, but the ending.
You
That'll
didn't
be
like it
in
so
this.
much, huh?
That'll be in the spoiler review, right?
Yeah.
Just it'll be completely spoiled. The long form one, check it out. But yeah, the ending of it, yeah, we'll get into
Yeah.
it there.
I
The
don't.
ending could have
Yeah.
been done better, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to character development.
Mhm.
How'd you like it? What'd you think of the new characters? How the characters developed from the first book that were already
Love the new
there?
characters.
Okay.
Specifically one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the most beautiful chick ever. That's all I'll say. That
The
one.
most beautiful chick ever.
Yeah, which one's
Oh, okay.
that?
Yeah. Okay.
um,
I was like,
I thought the introduction of her and the way it was handled was like, you immediately know you're like, oh, whoa, something's
yeah,
wrong here,
yeah.
you know.
Something's going on.
But like, it's an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rand's character development really shines. He starts to take that ownership that he has, that duty he
Mm-hmm.
has, and like really starts to go into that.
Yeah.
Um, the character he was traveling with the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Huron, love that
Yep.
guy. A
Yeah.
great introduction.
He's a great character. As you had mentioned, there's a lot of really
Yeah,
good new characters.
and
There's
Lord,
there's a lot of good old characters.
what's his name? Lord Ingtar.
Yep.
Thought he was incredibly well written.
Yeah.
So,
Ingtar is awesome. And he was
mhm.
he was brought in briefly in the first book. But yeah, so Lord Ingtar is is a great I'll call him
Yeah.
newer since he had such a small role in the first book.
So
He's a great new addition.
to kind of wrap up my thoughts on it, right? With
Mm-hmm.
characters specifically, Rand, I thought his development was really good. Perrin,
Yep.
I thought his development was a little slow still, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes him a while to kick in.
Yeah.
Matt, still again,
Yeah.
but you can't blame him at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, I think Nynaeve went down for me in this book.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, she becomes great. I
Yeah.
love her. This book, Tug's braid, man, Tug's braid,
Yeah.
Tug's braid. Right, Egwene is still fine. I think her
Mm-hmm.
character development's actually really good in this too.
Yep.
And Lan, I mean, you can't hate on Lan ever.
Yeah.
I don't think you
Yeah.
can. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot of
it's
yeah.
Lan.
I mean, Though, yes, even the characters that aren't done as well as others are still really good.
Yeah.
I think just because you match them up with some of these characters that get a lot more love, it's like, he
Yeah.
could have done more. But this is, it's a long book. So,
Yeah.
just keep in mind, some of these main characters, especially, and some of these more long term side characters, they'll take time to get going.
And this is a huge thing.
Um,
So there's 12 whole ass more books after this, right? So there's a lot more character development. If you're like, well,
yeah,
hold on, this character isn't progressing as fast as I'd like.
yeah,
There's
it will
12 more
come.
books.
It will
Have
come.
patience, you know?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts overall?
I think one character that you did fail to mention that has some pretty intense character development is Podon Fane. Podon Fane really gets shown some love in this book as a villain. It's pretty exciting, and it's really, he's a great addition
I
in my
neglect to
opinion.
leave him out because he's in my nightmares, so I try
Oh,
not to
okay,
talk
got
about him.
it. Yeah,
No, I think
yeah,
he's an incredibly like you have the Forsaken, right?
mhm.
And they're the big boogeymen, right?
Yeah,
Ooh, the
yep.
Forsaken, right? And that's what they're supposed to be. But
Still, yeah.
Patton Fane, he's like the human character
Mhm.
that turns into what he will become, and I
Yeah.
think he disgusts me. He's repulsive. He is
Yeah,
vile, just diabolical, right?
yeah.
But
He's a great character.
but I mean, he's kicking ass for just being a lowly human, right? Who can't
Yep.
channel.
Yeah.
So
So character development scale 0 out of 10. What would you give it?
overall, honestly, I'd say 9.5 in this book. I
Okay,
think
I like it.
I think this book has probably some of the best character development in the short time span for each character because
Hmm.
it's so early on in the series, right? So like it's the perfect time for them to get away from I'm a villager, to like whole ass. Oh, where are we? We just
Yep.
fought. Spoiler for book one. We just went to the eye of the world, right? We just
Hmm.
slayed the Green Man, or the Green Man died on accident, right? They go from the farmer, they go through that, and then they start off
Yep.
in Valdara, which
Yep.
is up in the borderlands where the boogeymen live,
Hmm.
and this is where they start to really come into their own, b assume duties that
Hmm.
they would never have, you know and they still don't do it well. They're still like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, they're
But
definitely still village kids,
yeah,
right?
but they're
And
stepping up.
still these young village kids out in the world.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I gave my score yet. For character development, I would give it a 9 out of 10.
That's fair. What's our next category?
3, world building. How'd you like the
I was
world?
just 10 out of 10 there. I mean,
Yeah, it's so good. Wow, straight with it.
yeah, I mean, for I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I think Robert Jordan builds a world similar, not quite as in depth because there's no
Mhm.
literal creator Eru Iluvatar and the lore behind him, for example.
Mhm.
But
And
the world's super detailed. No world development. So, book one says, "Hey, you're a mountain village, right?
mhm.
You got to get to this white tower, and then you end up in the eye of the world. Boom, Borderlands.
Yep.
Cool. We don't see much though of its actual countryside or
Yeah, true. That's
the
true.
White Tower. Whereas book two, I think, is able to focus more on those points, right? And show
Mhm.
the politics behind the White Tower.
Mhm.
So it's not just Ace and
Yeah.
I.
It
There's
definitely,
Mhm.
we definitely get to see the White Tower fleshed out more. We get a better description of the magic system, right? Channeling. In book one, it's almost non-existent.
I think book two is
It
where
just
Robert
kind of,
Jordan started like, okay, we got to make this more concrete.
yeah.
But yeah, book two, world building, I think. I mean, obviously, world building, I think, is always going to have the higher scores in the first couple of books in a large series, right?
True.
Because they're
Yep.
establishing the world.
Yeah. Eventually, it has to stop growing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Or
with,
it's gonna.
and with that in mind, I think this book, especially with the introduction of, over what happens in Ibudar, right?
Yes. In fact, we get
Yeah.
introductions of multiple different nations
Mm-hmm.
in this book, and not just nations that we've already gotten word from,
Yeah.
which there is some additional there's new nations introduced that we haven't really previously been told about. So,
and this, I think, is why I give this world building, I'd give it a 10, because I
yeah,
mean, it just does so much so well, and and when you're reading it, you're like, oh, we're into a universe now. It's not just a 3-book series. You're going a distance.
Yeah. I'm gonna give the world building a 9.5. All right, so let's move into our fourth category, and our last category are great moments. How did this book stand up? So, I guess to give a little backstory, for me personally, I did not think that the first book had too many big moments, I should say. Not necessarily great moments, because it's a great book and the whole book is great. But there's nothing that I really found super memorable. Like, oh, whenever I think about Eye of the World, I think about this moment in the book.
I think about like two things from that book.
Yeah. So how did you feel about this one? Was there more? Was there less? Was it the same?
More major. So I think, for example, book 1's sequencing was really, really good. Each sequence you went through. But I don't think it was great. It wasn't standout. It wasn't, oh my God, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Book 2, though, I think has less sequences. Okay. But it allows each one to go more in depth, right? Like,
okay, yeah, I can see that.
Like, Rand, his spot. That a lot of good stuff comes from that. And there was a huge standout moment there, meeting that beautiful chick, right?
Yeah.
That to me is a standout moment. The ending, I won't spoil that.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to mention it.
Please don't.
But that huge standout moment, right? Because you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you guys do want to know, read the book and then come back and watch our long form. We're gonna have a spoiler full,
completely full
review that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And we'll go into all this stuff specifically. I hesitate to even call it. Simp. Yeah, I hesitate to call it even a review. We're just gonna be going over chapters of the book and
talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say there were bigger moments.
Yep.
And this is the pattern that I think he really found a stride with, was especially at the end of each book, a huge thing happens. And I think book 2, the first big thing happens. End of book 1's big. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely big.
Less impactful to the overall story than book 2 is. Way less impactful, in fact. So I would say greatest moment.
The ending is less impactful on book 2. That's what you said?
No. So less impactful from book 1. The ending is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because of what happens at the end of book 2.
Sure. I guess I can see that.
Yeah. But I mean, so the ending there, introduction of the beautiful chick, huge. That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep throwing that little.
We'll keep that name.
Keep that carrot out for everyone. Huh?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You got to. But that. I thought the whole sequence behind it was incredibly well done too.
Yeah.
And then, like right before the ending, with Ingtar.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah, him, just that part. I'm not gonna say any more, but that part, huge moment.
This is where the scenes for me really start, and I reread because I get to the end of the story. I'm like, oh, I love that scene that happens. I love whenever Rand does this. I love whenever Mat talks to this part. I really love these scenes, and there's a few in this book where it's like, oh, dude, I love what just happened. It's not just like the story and the plot was great overall, which it was. There are individual moments in this book that it's like, oh, it's great. I'm glad that it brings me back.
it's hard to explain here, so anybody watching, check out the long. Hey, read the book, get it. Just
read
get
the
it.
book.
Like, come on,
come check it out with us.
Check out the long-term view, or the long form review.
I'm gonna give the moments. Let me think. Sorry, a 9.5.
Nice.
In fact, actually, I'll take it down. I'll go a 9.
Oh.
I really enjoy the ones that happen that we'll go into later.
This is the lowest category for me, 8.5.
Okay.
Which is still great. So with that, I'd give it a 9 overall, personally. Like, I know I broke the categories down as such, but overall, I give it a 9.
Okay. Yeah.
I just really do think world building here is a 10. I do.
Yeah, the world building is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then for me, yeah, we'll round mine down to a 9. It's very close.
9 out of 10.
So yeah, overall, we're gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I'm glad we're on the same page here and there wasn't a huge discrepancy. To end it, would you recommend this book for others to read?
I recommend this book immediately if you have a brother, sister, mother, father, daughter, son, and you see them reading Aragon, and just go ahead and swap that out with this book.
Sure.
Just go ahead and swap it out. Go ahead. Aragon's not shitting on it, but go ahead and swap it out.
Yes, I would also recommend this book. I would recommend reading book 1 first, but you could also just start with book 2, I guess.
Don't do that.
You wanted.
Start with book 1.
Yeah, I would recommend this book after book 1.
Wow. 100%.
So yeah, so far in the series, I would recommend the series.
Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification button stuff YouTubers say. Hit those. Hit them so you can stay up to date on our reviews when we push them out. With that,
all right,
it's Ray signing off.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.